reading this like 30 seconds after you type it. That's because the streaming software, just so you're aware.
All right, are you ready to begin here? All right, so I am William Rader. I am the founder of Well Attended. We're a box office management company that works with theaters, magicians, jugglers, burlesque performers. You name it, we've probably worked with that type of variety entertainer or a theater. And also, I'm a magician. I produce my own weekly show, or I guess it weekly show, until all of this happened. And that was every Monday in Capitol Hill. So we were doing that for about 2 years now. So not only am I working with theaters, helping them sell their tickets, but I do have my own shows every week as well. So Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Tom Britton. I'm predominantly a theater producer and promoter for my own shows. So Freak Show and Tell, The Seance, Danger Circus are the main shows I've been doing. In the past, I've owned and operated theaters and managed live theaters, never a movie theater. When I say theater, I'm sorry, I mean the theaters you and I would be in, William. Though I haven't done that in a few years. And then yeah, that's it. Other than that, I make marketing videos accidentally because people kept asking me, how do you sell tickets? And so I started explaining it to people using you doing podcasts.
And so the flow of this today, we're going to talk about the virus a little bit. We're going to talk about how that's affecting our shows. Then we're going to get into the money side of it. What can we do right now? Either should we be just growing ourselves and learning new things, or should we be trying to switch careers? Are there things that we have already that we can then sell? So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about digital and how to, we're live streaming right now. We're going to talk a little bit about how we're doing this and giving you some tips on how to go live and maybe expand your audience to online instead of, real life face-to-face. And then we're going to talk about maybe some upsells or things that you can sell if you decide to do some videos.
And real quick, just a point of order in general on this. Normally it's William and I doing a podcast, and we have, as you hear, a list of topics, but this is a town hall. We do not have all the answers. I'm sorry. No one does. If you do, start typing. So there's about 20-ish people here, and usually these live events don't get much more than 30 or 40 at their peak. So feel free, if you have a solution, if I could, I'd loop us all in, but I just don't have the technology for that to do it all, and take calls like a radio show or whatever. I just don't have it. So if we're on a topic and you're like, here's the thing I've been doing, especially if, God forbid, it's the thing you've been doing that's working, and we don't read it after a couple minutes, type it again. You're not being a dick. It just went through the chat. If we get going and we're all talking to each other, I didn't see it or William didn't see it, hit that point again, especially, like I said, if it's working, because the idea is that we, in the real world, which we can't go into, we'd all be in a room right now and he and I would just be hosting and then passing the mic around to you. So imagine the chat as a chance to do that. And if you're my personal friend or Williams, feel free. My phone is muted, but text or messenger if you need to do like a paragraph. And at the end of this, around 4 o'clock, Central time, 4 o'clock, in an hour, I'll open up my phone and start reading them off. So that way they don't get lost. Just a weird point of order.
Some of the things I'm sharing is from my personal experience, and then what I'm seeing some of our clients do, and how they've got some ideas for, refunds and canceling and things like that. So let's just get right into it right now, and let's talk about just some of the latest news and what's going on, and then should we still do shows?
Don't do shows. So the problem is morbidity versus mortality. So morbidity is the transmission level of vectors that you can cross into. Mortality is obviously mortality. Real quick, while I do have an undergraduate degree in applied sciences, and so I can sound like I know what I'm talking about, I'm a dipshit fire juggler who does not know what he's talking about. I have no real medical training. I have friends who are much smarter than me. They tell me things, and like a parrot, I can learn to say them back, and I wear a suit, and I have gray hair, and everyone thinks, no, I'm an actor. Okay. This is highly transmittable from you to I, morbidity. It very quickly, it's highly compared to other novel coronaviruses and other flus, other things like this. The problem we've got, and especially in our industry, I do a lot of proper theater shows. So I'm at the community theater, or I'm at the subscription theater where Byron is, right? Okay, Byron knows this. My whole front row is blue hair with oxygen tanks. They are the most susceptible to the mortality rate on this. I cannot in good conscience be within 60 feet of those people. They will have problems. And birthday parties, if you're a birthday party clown, grandma comes to every birthday party. Young people are filthy. They're filthy little things, these human children. So I don't have any of them. They're like a cat that can't lick itself. They're nasty little dirty buggers, and they run everywhere. I've seen them at parks. They don't look like they're fun. And they run right up to grandma who gives them a big kiss on the face. So you cannot in good conscience do shows. Maybe if you were some hipster band who only 20-year-olds came, I'd be like, you risk it. You're going to feel like crap and have the poops for a week. Okay. But no, we all go home. It's just a bad idea. Humans are social by nature. We're seeing possibly now in South Korea. We're seeing nothing out of North Korea. In South Korea, it may be on the downtrend. So we can't do shows because of that. The latest is just, look, stay in the house if you can, or go to the park, go for a hike, but stay away from humans. Don't shake hands, which is actually kind of fun. So the wife and I are looking for a new apartment. So we are meeting with one other person. We're not even doing that. I'm doing the Vulcan or Wakanda. We're making a bow. We're trying to we're looking at YouTube videos on how to actually bow. Like if you're trying to nail it, if you're like a Japanese ambassador, how do you really get the good bow and not the too far down, that's too much bow, that's not enough bow. So we've been actually kind of practicing the like realistic bows. Make it kind of fun. And then make sure that you're not gathering in groups. And it sucks because the one time you really need us is in times like this. Like if this weren't the kind of thing that could be spread socially, man, I'd be doing reduced tickets. I'd be doing free shows. I'd have a packed house. If I don't know what would happen, an EMP hit and all the cable companies went under. Like we can't watch Netflix. Well, good news. I've got a show. The latest it looks like is difficult because virologists are debating it amongst themselves. So you get an optimistic virologist and you get a pessimistic virologist. I've heard anywhere estimates of, this stuff will tend to come back in the fall. So you should brace for a long term because while they do slow down slightly in the summer, because there's a lipid layer to this flu that can just not survive. That's why you wash your hands. That's good for fat. It gets rid of them. It does, if it acts like other flus, come back in the fall. And then if you do Christmas shows, it's really difficult because Christmas, we all go in the same room in cold climates. That's why you tend to get more sick in the cold. It's the air conditioning and the heat and all being in the same room. So for now, don't do shows. For now, plan on hunkering down for at least a month and then plan on life being a little different in the future. And then make sure you have one or two reputable resources. I only follow the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, the CDC, and I have 3 friends. One of them is a doctor. She's not a virologist, but she's a doctor. So she can kind of give me some synthesis, some filtering on this and tell me what's good and what's bad. And I've got 2 friends who are performers with some real master's level science training. So they can at least read the report. And while they aren't virologists, they have enough science training to kind of help me understand. That's it, man. I ain't turning on the TV. I ain't watching some egghead as qualified as you and I just because I have gray hair and look good when I read. That does not mean I'm smart. I look good when I read. So make sure you're getting news sources, not from some dipshit who fell for every scam online. Remember reading the name of the pilots on the airline? Some Ting Wong? They thought that was a pilot's name. They read jokes on the air, these morons. Find reputable resources.
I want to interject here just for a moment. And it's not only, and you kind of touched on this, it's not only that you don't want to do a kid's birthday party because it brings everyone together. But for me as a performer, I don't want to be the cause of someone's sickness. And what I mean by that, if I'm a theater owner or if I'm going out and doing a corporate event or whatever that might be, and then someone were to get sick and even worse were to maybe pass away from that, that's because I, just decided to do my show anyways. And I feel like that's very selfish. And one of the reasons, the primary reason why we should stop doing shows right now, even though it's going to, it hurts. I think this is the best decision for the other people around us, right?
So let's talk about messaging. If you don't mind, because Byron and Elliot both make good points that now how do you tell your clients that you're, as we said, postponed, not canceled? The sun will come up tomorrow. I've got some techniques that I've gotten from, so I was lucky. I was taking a break right now, so I got incredibly lucky. I didn't have shows to cancel. I was actually working on some other stuff, didn't have public-facing shows. So my cancellations were 2 phone calls to very specific clients. What have you seen? Because he runs wellattended.com for all your tickets. But I mean, seriously, a lot of tickets go through your servers. What do you see people doing?
So, it's sad because we were doing very well, and every month we're getting more clients and we're seeing how well they're doing, and it was an upward trend, right, of more and more shows selling out, people being into more theater, more art. And then last week, beginning of this week, everyone has been we get notifications of people unpublish their shows, and it's just been across the board. I think we're to the point now where we might not have anyone selling any tickets to any shows. And so for the past week and a half, all I've been doing is talking with people about, okay, well, I have this money and I need to keep my doors open. I don't really want to give a refund, because if I give a refund, then I'm out all of that money.
Yeah.
And I need to use that money. So what can I do? And I think there's a lot of different options, and we see, different theaters doing different things. For me personally, with the Denver Magic Show, it's a small show. I might have anywhere from, 10 to 15 people every show. And so to cancel that, it's not that big of an issue. And my messaging with that is very simple. It's, hey, thank you so much for thank you so much for purchasing tickets to the show. Sadly, because of the virus, we've decided to postpone. However, once it's over, we will be happy to honor your tickets for any of our shows in the future. And then I say, however, if you need a refund, we completely understand. Just reply to this email and let me know. And then on kind of like the line before I say goodbye, I say, thanks again for your support. We really appreciate you. And then I say, we hope to see you at a future show. So while I'm not saying, don't take your money back, I'm saying, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of this. If you need a refund, we're not going to fight that. We're not going to keep your money. Be happy to just let us know. So I'm still nice about it, but I'm also saying, we appreciate you. And so that's what I'm doing myself for my show. Now, other theaters, they're saying we're not giving any refunds at all, per our, our policy. We don't give refunds. However, we're going to transfer all of your tickets over to Flex Passes.
Right.
So we have this new feature. It's really great. What that allows you to do is to then, if let's say you're a theater and you're doing multiple shows throughout the season, you can say, okay, well, you only have general admission tickets right now for these shows, and you have 10 of them. You bought them for your family and your friends. You've got 10 tickets right now. So what you can do is you can now issue a Flex Pass that gives them credits to use towards any of your future shows. And then you can send them a nice email saying, hey, we're so sorry, we've got to cancel this. And I think the word is not canceled. It should be postponed.
Yeah.
Right?
Rescheduled.
Really rescheduled, postponed. That way people know, okay, you're going to be doing things in the future.
It's also a positive message in these troubling times. Like, there will be it's a tunnel. There's light at the end of a tunnel, guys. If we just do what we're supposed to do, this is not a zombie outbreak. It's a virus. We can win. This is not War of the Worlds and we're the invaders. We live here.
Yeah, and so once they've got those credits, then they can go into their account and they can apply those to any shows that they want to. So it's kind of hands off. Now you've given that power back to them. Oh, I've got 10 credits now and I can use that however I want to use it. And this way you're not having to issue that refund. Blackheart Magic Theater in Wichita, he's got a great idea. He's saying, hey, if you want a refund, no problem. However, if you keep your tickets with us, the next time we have a show, when it opens back up, we will upgrade your ticket.
That's genius. Yeah. If you let me hang on to that money that I need, I'll give you on the other end a little bump, a little interest. I'll pay interest on the payment.
Yeah, and so maybe it's a general admission ticket, and we're going to upgrade you to VIP. Maybe you've already bought a VIP ticket. Now we're going to give you a close-up show, a 30-minute private close-up show because you were with us, you supported us, you didn't ask for that refund. You're hanging in there with us, and now we're going to do something for you.
And remember, those small paper products that I've got and the cookbook that I've got the PDF on, those are great giveaways for upgrades if you guys ever did any of that stuff. Think about your slum magic stuff that you can pitch that works well, but you know what I mean? You're like, hey, let me give you this. So you could still sell VIP tickets. Say, look, if you're my buddy, I got a VIP gift bag for you with everything I can afford to throw in there. It's got 8 stickers. It's got a temporary tattoo. There's the fake thumb. There's, here's some cool stuff. Here's programs from old shows and posters that I signed that said thank you. Or I went in the last 2 weeks and printed a special poster, only printed 50 of them, when Kinko's opened back up, just for you. These are the plague posters. They're funny and they look like Biohazard.
And so that's really what I think the main takeaway from this is if you are having to cancel the shows, just be as positive as you can to your subscriber base. And, I've seen some theaters do it right. And some theaters, like one of the big theaters here in town, they said, hey, we appreciate your support. sorry the shows are canceled. And then in the email, they said nothing, absolutely nothing
Yeah.
about refunds.
I
And so
saw
my wife and I were like, do we get a refund? We don't even know. But at
yeah.
this point, because you're just acting like you're keeping our
Yeah.
money, like this doesn't even feel right.
Yeah.
And this is a big organization here in Denver. And it's like, okay, well, that's not what I want to portray. I want to portray a thankfulness to all of my supporters and saying, hey, if you don't mind, letting us keep this, letting us,
Yeah.
use this money to stay open, that we would appreciate it. But if not, if you've got bills to pay, if you've got to pay for groceries, if you've got to pay for your rent, if you need that money more than us, please take it back and use it however you want to.
I saw there's a local group here called Rocks Geek. They do like a nerdy belly dancing and fire troop. And Dawn Ziana Moon, as far as I know, is the one who runs it. Forgive me if you're a member of Rocks Geek and that's not correct, but she's the person I interact with the most, and so I see her. So from Dawn, also when you send out emails, make sure you also put this on other social media. I'm getting a lot of emails from like, how is AT&T Cellular handling the COVID-19? You may get buried in all the nonsense from just like these. How is Nike handling? Dude, I bought shoes from you once 10 years ago. I don't care how you're handling the flu. You may get buried, so make sure, because I saw this on Facebook.
And what we're trying to do is, if you've got a smaller theater, what else are we doing right now? You should be calling everyone. You should be having a conversation with these people. And who knows, maybe you'll find some people that are willing to donate money, to your organization. And you could even say, don't make it a donation drive. I mean, you could if you want. But you could very easily say, oh, yeah, we're looking to keep our doors open. If you have anything else to give, we would really appreciate that. And you could even apply that then to tickets. Right, even though you're not selling right now, take a PayPal donation or something like that and say, hey, we're going to apply this to tickets, even though we don't have any going on right now, but this will just help us stay.
You could start a pre-sale right now on the Virus is Over show, date TBD, and if you have clients that are like a bank or a law firm or accounting firm that aren't hit by this, call them up and ask them for a group purchase. That'd be the celebration party for all of their friends and family and coworkers. Would you like to buy 10 or 20 of these tickets? We'll announce it a couple of weeks in advance. It'll be flexible, but it'll be like the first weekend we're all allowed to legally go out and congregate. What I like that Dawn did was it was transparency, and that's where we have the advantage over your big company. She explained that Rocks Geek usually has a no refund policy because we have to pay the theater vendors and our performers in advance so they have money to buy costumes, makeup, etc. Then we put down a deposit in essence. So we don't have that money. However, a lot of people who come to our shows are fellow performers, waiters, bartenders, bussers. We understand this is tough. It isn't just the entertainment industry that got hit. So if you would like a refund, you just contact me. We'd absolutely. So that it felt like she had written it. It felt like it was coming from an organization that was portraying what they want, which is we're a small troupe, but we love our patron. We love our customers. And this is something that and I kind of wanted to broaden this out a little bit because I think we're talking about I sell tickets to shows. What if I wanted to go twist balloon animals at the Bennigans, or I do a magic show for a kid's birthday party? So I've got one person who paid me $4,000. Yeah, this one person paid me $1,000 or whatever you get, how do I handle messaging if my client base is a dozen? So we deal with, well, hopefully in a good year, thousands of tickets per year. What if you only have 10 clients? You have Nike, you have Mrs. Williams, and you have 2 library shows, and that's 2 librarians. And that's your summer. You just turn that over and over and over and over and over again. How are people... I would call them, right? I would just call.
So a lot of times, especially in corporate, how it works is, as you probably all know, the company will give you a deposit. Maybe that's a 25% deposit. Maybe that's a 50%
I didn't know
deposit.
that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and a lot of times these deposits are non-refundable, right? So like if the company says, well, we're not doing it anymore, at least you have their deposit, right? Because you held their date.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how a lot of this corporations work. And I've been talking to a lot of our clients who are also corporate entertainers, and they've been saying, they'll give the deposit back in this case, but a lot of times instead of that, they'll suggest, we're going to hold on to your deposit, but whenever this is over and you do your next show, we're going to apply your deposit towards that next show.
That's nice. So basically your deposit rolls over.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so that way, for one, they're like, well, the company's like, well, I don't want to lose that deposit. We already paid $1,500 for this. I don't want to just be out of that. So we might as well rebook Tom because we've already paid him half of the money. Then it's a no-brainer to then book him for this previous, for this show in the future. And so that's what a lot of our clients are doing. They're just keeping the deposit and rolling it over for whenever that client wants to hire them again. And I think that's a very smart move, just because you've made a little bit of money and the client's more apt to rebook.
And they're not usually hurting in the sense of hurting.
Yeah,
they're usually just watching their bottom end. So you don't actually move their bottom end. You just move it to another queue. It's my Q2. I spent $1,000 on a deposit for this magician that I didn't get, but then Q3 I got a free deposit on a magician, and it balances it out. Real quick, so Elliot mentions that I've rebooked shows for end of May and told them I will contact them 2 weeks before and see where we are then. So basically, Elliot's letting his clients know this is fluid, but I'm still here, man. I'm still in the game. We're still going to be there. Right. I see the light. I don't know how far the tunnel is. Yeah. So that's good. That's that personal touch. And yeah, I'll reach out 2 weeks before, and we'll all have the same basic data. I don't think a lot of this will be. At first, it was debatable. Should I close or should I not? Now your governor, your president, your prime minister has stepped in and been like, nine, yet, no, none, forget it. And so now at least we don't have to say, I'm saying we're closed, and you have to fight. No, the president's on TV saying we're closed. You can call to a higher power. DC 5x5. I'm hoping that's how you say it. I'm sorry. There's a link about the American Congress wanting to include displaced entertainment workers in relief. Feel free to sign. Yeah, be political in all ways. We can debate the efficacy of these things all day. Yeah, vote in primaries. Vote for everything. Get involved. Get connected. They run. You see how important they actually are. This the government ain't got nothing to do with me, bro. It's your government. They got a lot to do with you. Have an opinion. The difficulty there. Go ahead and brace for impact. How do you prove how much money you've made? For a lot of us, that can be difficult when we're under the table or we don't have a ton of documentation. Especially right now, the I-9s, where they are from these colleges I worked post December 31st aren't coming in until the end of the year for my taxes. So I might have a canceled check somewhere. I don't. So answering that call, if they say, okay, you got money, how do you prove? Which is why right now in the U.S. there's a debate to do just kind of like Bush did this in his first year. He just mailed you a check for a few $100. Just mail every American a check for $1,100 is the debate, and that way it isn't means tested, and it covers folks who are the documentation may be sketchy. Or, like us, it's kind of just right now, I don't know if I can prove how much I've made because I just don't have a lot of paperwork. It all kind of comes in at the end of the year from my accountant.
And send Byron here, and I think this is great. I think this shows you what a good, solid base, if you have, this is how they will treat you in return. Byron says that kind of email, the kind of email where you say, hey, we appreciate your support. He says that he's got 12 groups of tickets. Out of 12 groups of tickets sold, he's only had one refund. Others are either donations or tickets for future dates. And then that's fantastic, right? That shows that your patron base is there to support you. And I think at a lot of times it is.
I think we've gotten the messaging out. I think enough of us have said this to people where they get the idea of bartenders, waiters, and party clowns are screwed. Once Broadway goes dark, once the ballet and the Met and Broadway go dark, they start thinking downstream to me and go, oh, crap, what's Tom doing? Is that guy rich? I don't even know. I have no idea, man. He pays a lot of rent in Chicago. Holy crap. So then when I come out and say, forgive me for touching my face, I promise I'll wash my hands before I touch anyone.
Yeah, me too.
It turns out my favorite hobby is touching my damn face.
You know what? That's funny.
I did
so many
my favorite thing to do.
Posts right now. Like, I didn't know I touched my face so many times.
Constantly, apparently. I love touching my face. Thankfully, I don't touch anyone else's face like a creepy old dude. Okay.
Just don't lick anyone, Tom.
It's on the list of no's. President said, I can't. Sorry, guys. I can't. President said, no. Can't lick you. My bad. You got to call him, see if he'll change his mind. The messaging has gotten out, so people are already primed for when you ask for that. I think they'll get into it. I wanted to broaden out, so Raphael Entertainment brings up a good point that I want to get into, doing online, but that can be a challenge for people. And then between that, I wanted to do real quick, I wanted to talk about some ways. I made some quick money this week. And so I wanted to kind of throw those suggestions out there for people to pick up on. And this topic, you had something you were going to.
Yeah, exactly. So if we can shift our focus here for a moment and just talk about, things that we can possibly sell as entertainers, and then how to capture that audience to then sell those physical products. And so in my case, I'm producing a tarot deck. It's from 1760. I'm reproducing it. And this is actually something that I was planning to sell at the end of my shows. I do tarot readings in the show, and then at the end of the show, I say, if you're interested in this unique deck of cards, 22 cards, then you can purchase them right after the show, and you can play around with them and see, you know, what fortunes you can find for yourself. And so this is actually something I have in the works for the past 5 months. But now I think I could very easily do some online readings, do some online performances, and then send people to a link to then buy the cards. And so this type of framework is what I'm seeing a lot of performers doing, either doing online shows and selling tickets or having people buy for those online shows, or everything online on Facebook, on YouTube, whatever that might be, it's completely free, but they have some type of upsell, some type of, you know, buy-in at the end. And you'll notice, like, on all of our podcasts, on all of our, you know, the Well-Attended Summit, all of this stuff we're doing, it's free, but we always have that upsell of, hey, we'd love to work with you to sell tickets to your events, right? That's the upsell.
Right.
And so I think this is how we're going to have to think, is these back of the room, the sales that we've been doing, stickers, postcards, all of this stuff, how can we then turn that into a product that we can then sell at the end of our performance on Facebook Live, or on Facebook, whatever they're calling it, or YouTube Live, or something like that.
Streaming.
So what have you been doing?
Okay, so I want to come back to that point after we do our chunks of things, because I want to talk about some ideas for marketing through digital, so you get there, and then also some of the software, because you got two geeky performers as far as software, and you literally run a website. But also I've got some pretty dorky AV equipment in this room. So if you're worried about that, we'll come back around to that. Here's just a few quick blasts, because $1,000 isn't going to save your life, but it ain't 50. And so around 1,000. I'll explain. So the first thing I did accidentally, I've got a cookbook that I wrote, because I'm a classically trained chef and a fire eater. So I wrote a spicy cookbook called Kiss the Fire Eater, and it's all spicy recipes. If you want it, it's free. If you just sign up on my mailing list, it'll bounce into your email, and then I'll unsubscribe. I don't care if you live in the middle of Nevada, you're going to come see my show. I don't mind. You get a free copy. Thanks for coming to the live talk. What I discovered accidentally was that was the thing I did periodically, because I have like 800 people on my mailing list, and I promised them free stuff. You get, you know, upgraded tickets or first access tickets. Some of my shows sell out quickly, and so that's kind of a boon. Be like, hey, these go on sale in a week on Facebook. You may want to buy them now. But I'm writing a new edition of the cookbook. I thought, well, let's give them the EPUB. I put an email, and you can steal that email if you want. So when it lands in your email box, it's how do you install it on your Kindle? Okay, I have an iPad. How do I do that? How do I add it to iBooks? How do I just print it out? All that's written out for the client. Copy, paste, cross out my name, write in your name. Don't show the teacher your homework. We're fine. You have my permission. And then a link to just a Dropbox folder that I've got. You download my cookbook. I through Mailchimp, I dropped in a little box that says if you want a printed copy, and I sold $200 worth of printed copies to people who went, wait, he has a cookbook? Because I don't really talk about it in my mailing list. I sell it at the show, or I use it as a giveaway for the show. And they bought it. And about 300-ish people of the 900 that I have on my mailing list, or whatever it is, close to 1,000 now, 20, 30% are who opens the damn emails anyway. So I made about $1 per person off, because one person bought like 4 copies, and one person bought 1, one person bought 2. So that's what happened, was disproportionately. So that was a chunk of money, and it was instant, and they do fulfillment through the company I use, so I don't have to go to the post office. I don't have to go anywhere. Money Slant, Blurb is who I use, but there's a million of them. Blurb and Amazon now, but Blurb is what I was using to write the whole package, the whole thing for you. They take a piece. It's just like anything else. It has to be like Teach Him, it has to be this much. You add your profit on top. That's what your book costs. So I make a couple of bucks per book, but a couple of bucks, you normally make pennies. Second thing I did was T-shirts. I've got T-shirts. I sold out of extra large because I'm an American. We sell out of extra large first. And that I did have to go to the post office, but I just went at odd hours and dropped them off and left. And then I sell little VIP envelopes. Now those, my T-shirts are 52% profit margin. I pay $4.97. You pay $10. Online, you pay $15. That basically covers my shipping. Shipping's about, sometimes I'll lose $1 on that. It's between $3 and $6 to ship a T-shirt. Fine. It averages out to $5. But I bring home a $5 for my trouble. The envelopes are 97 cents and you're paying $5 for them. So that's a profit margin. And I sold a few of those as well. Again, a couple $100 in profit. So T-shirts, half my money is in the T-shirt. The third one's the one where I'm saying 800 to 1,000. Why is it a quibble? Okay, those two are profit. The third one's gift cards. I sold more. I sold $375 worth of gift cards. Now, if they use it for a ticket, that's almost a 1-to-1. My gift cards are good for anything I produce or sell. If they buy a t-shirt, that's where it contracts on me a little bit. If they go, hey, I want 8 t-shirts. Okay, well, half my money went into the t-shirt. So I've currently got $1,000 in the bank from more or less from all of this, but depending on what they spend that gift card on, it'll chip away at my profit margin. But I don't give a crap. It was basically like, I didn't think any of it would work. I certainly didn't think it'd be $1,000. And they're, good Lord, they're buying tickets to shows. They're buying logos I designed, crap with my face on it. I mean, I'm honored. So if you are not at the moment throwing out things to sell, remember, all your friends aren't broke. All your fans aren't bartenders. I got a couple of, one guy bought 8, so they're $20. You can buy a $20 gift card or type in your own number. And if you go to mine, I think it's Gift Up, but there's a bunch of them that do it. I just picked, I think, the first one. And they're fine. Right? Lands right in PayPal immediately. They take a small fee. We're done. He bought 8 $19.99. So one guy spent $100 and something bucks because he wants to come see the show. And I emailed him, obviously, because I'm like, dude, thanks for that. That's really nice. Half the gift cards I sold were to you. And he's like, no, I love your shows. I want to see what you do next. And I want to come see him again. And I got friends. I thought, what a deal. And then what I do is, you buy a $19.99 gift card from me, that's the ticket price to get in. So some shows go $25 or $30 for general admission. You don't pay $25 or $30 if you use that gift card. You've bought a ticket now. So if suddenly I get famous, if Kim Kardashian becomes my girlfriend next week and my prices go to $55, you pay $19.99 to get in if you use gift card money. Now let's roll into the tech part so everyone else can do this. So I had 2 friends they're makeup artists, makeup technicians. One's an actual friend of mine. One's a Facebook friend. We've run into each other on occasion. And they didn't think about this. I messaged them because another friend was putting together a list of things you can do online to make people money. Hey, do you want to learn to cook? This guy will teach you to cook for $25. Hey, do you want to learn to do makeup? And she didn't have anybody. And I said, hey, I got friends to do that. Okay. They are makeup artists by trade. They're not performers who do makeup. So they were like, what do I do? I'm like, well, it's easy. You get Skype. It's free. You charge $20 to $40. You know, what will the market bear? Right now, I'll go a little cheap and make it up in volume, but charge $35 for a session. Say a session's about an hour. And then what are you real good at teaching? I don't know a ton about makeup, but can you blend a smoky eye really well, or you're known for your contouring? You pitch a specific thing. Don't say, I'll do makeups for you. Would you like to learn to contour like a pro? Would you like to learn to do the wings like Amy Winehouse? I'll teach you and cover all the basics, $35. Now, once you get them on Skype, they say, actually, I was wondering how you did the undercut with now you can just do a class with the person. And they said, well, how do you're muted. William.
Yeah. So how would you advertise that, or how would you push that?
So I told him to do 2 things. One, and out of my depth here. So what do I know about makeup? I have skin condition, so I'm wearing a little Fenty Beauty foundation. That's as much as I do. I've never done opera or dance or anything like that. So I'm slightly more educated than the average North American male about this. I said, okay, what can you do in 60 seconds? Can you make a video on your phone? And we'll talk about the way to set that up, but take your phone, set up your lighting. We'll get to that in a second. Make a video, how to blend properly in 60 seconds. You play some royalty-free music. We'll get into how to get that in just a minute. And you blend, and at the end you say, want to see more here, and then the link, the description. People will watch it and they'll buy it. You got to get 1,000 views to get 3 people to buy. Welcome to marketing. But now you just make that hopefully go viral. The other thing is do a Facebook Live. I've just washed and moisturized. Here's a blank canvas. You've seen these. My wife watches these every morning while she gets ready for work. These makeup tutorials. They are huge. Like ASMR makeup tutorials and PewDiePie are a whole underworld I'm not familiar with that has billions of views and dollars. You just do it live. People ask you questions. You go, what? Oh, it's a number 10 brush. It looks like this. And you go back to doing it. You're just doing a makeup tutorial live. And then you ask what is, you know what I mean? You ask them if they would like to book you. They'll offer to book you.
And then just a tip here as far as software goes is I use a lot of times a great software called Calendly. Have you heard of this, Tom?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've used it.
Yeah, so Calendly, it's great because you can set up different, like a 15-minute session or a 30-minute session or an hour session, and you can put this all on a calendar. So all you've got to do is put a Calendly link there, and I think now they're even accepting payments for this. So you could say that this time slot is $100, and I think you can take the pay. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can just take the payment right there when they book it.
That's awesome.
And so you can just have a calendar, and you can say, click the link below, go to my calendar, book a session with me right now. And whether that's you're reading tarot or you're going to teach magic to people, maybe you're a magician or you've got a juggling sequence that people want to learn, whatever this might be, you can very easily say, book out a session for me, click the link right below, and then it'll take you to my calendar where you can select a date, and then we can talk over Skype, and all the information you can put there in Calendly of how you're going to connect, what's the best way to do this. Like all of that is pretty much automated. So you can do your live stream, you can have the link, and then you can start getting the meetings or those sessions. And I think that's a great workflow to start. And I think Facebook is great, but I think Facebook is almost sometimes limited to your friends and their family. I think if you record some of this and you can put it on YouTube, where it can be, people can start to search for these things, and you can start getting that SEO, and then you can that content lives there forever. And you put a link just right down at the bottom of the video, say, click here to book a session for me. So now it's everywhere it can be, and you can start promoting it that way. And so I think this is a good first step if you have some product or service that you want to either start selling or you want to, start teaching or coaching people.
All right, let's walk through some of the tech. So Raphael Entertainment's asking, online shows, for those of us without access to a venue and are instead stuck in our apartments, how would you suggest doing this? And for this performer, I know, juggler and swordsman. So not really a thing you can do in a studio apartment that's furnished with 7-foot ceilings. So you're going to teach rapier technique, and forgive me for completely butchering every term here. You're going to teach pointy stick in the face moves and juggling. So getting out there is going to be difficult for you. Let's cover tech for folks who are just doing what we're doing right now face to face. So I happen to splash out and buy a brand new MacBook Pro, but it's a 720p camera though. Shouldn't it be more pro than that? But you can get, you've got a phone, you've got a laptop, and good enough is good enough. Really, the audio quality, which is not a big honking microphone like this, is usually being in a quiet room, turning off the AC, the heat, turning off the fan, putting a little fabric around yourself.
Like some curtains like this. I mean, it just helps deaden that. And that's, besides not wanting to show my bed back here.
Right.
It does look a little bit nicer, and it helps with that.
What mic are you using?
It's an empty room.
Are you using your head?
So I've got one of these. I think you can see this.
Oh, okay,
right
gotcha.
here.
Snowball kind of thing?
So
yeah.
I've got this is a Yeti with a pop filter, and just the pop filter basically allows the like that type of noise. And I just set it here on my desk. Somewhat close to my face, but I think this is around $100. I've got a 1080p Logitech webcam that just sits on top of my monitor, and that's really all you need.
Or just this. If you have this microphone, so what you don't want to do is let it move. So lock it down. Put a piece of tape or something, not over the microphone, but like tape two sides to pin it to your collar, let's say. Leave this one out, and then your monitor's there for yourself. This will sound just fine. So you need not spend any money. Take a few books, get it at eye level. So this is how most people make webcam videos, whether it's a hostage situation, I call it. I was watching Tulsi Gabbard on a show, and she did that. This was a representative from Hawaii who was running for president. So she's got a big girl job. She represents her state in the Congress, but also was running for president. Might still be. Her light was like here. I was like, why? What? Not her fault. Yeah. You have a team. What I would run in and be like, just gonna move this, Miss Gabbard. Just gonna take this a bit, Congresswoman. Just gonna eye level with books, prop it up.
So my camera, if I do this, I'm right here, and I've got Tom right here.
Right. Yeah.
And so if I do this, I'm now looking. So you might see my eyes kind of go up and down. Right now, I'm looking at Tom, and I just see his face right here. And if I do this, I'm now looking at you, the viewer.
Right.
But it's kind of close enough that it's not like I'm constantly doing this as I'm.
And I pushed you right up to the top. So the Macs have that little green light by the camera.
Oh,
it's on.
Yes.
So as I'm looking at the camera, I can peripherally, I'll still screw up and start looking in your eyes, like I'm on the spectrum, just looking around. But if I remember So when you're recording a video, look in the camera, not the screen.
Look in the camera. Yeah. So I would be looking right here if I was recording this for live, because there's no one else going to be here. I'd be looking here. But since I'm having a conversation, it's super weird to not be able to see the person you're talking to. So I shift my eyes down here, and I think it still looks okay.
So use your phone microphone, use your camera phone, put it on books, get in a very quiet area. If you can go in a closet, your car is a real good place to record. If you just have a vehicle, close that door. It's a real nice dampening. You'll see a lot of folks recording podcasts in their car for that reason. We're using 2 different kinds of lighting. I just have a little $40 ring light, and then
you can see the reflection of it right there, yeah.
Yeah, you catch it kind of behind me. Or in my glasses, every time I put my glasses on, there's that ring light. And then this is the corner of my small apartment. So all of my lamps are just at 100%. And I've got a little control over the color of them. I have those fancy light bulbs. Slightly orangish, but just a ton of light. Because I live in a cave. My apartment does not have the window faces another building. That's my view, is another brick building alleyway. You're using natural light, though.
Yeah, what's nice is I've got this huge window right here. I've got the blinds closed. You don't want direct sunlight, right? That's just going to... It's bad.
Especially if you're Caucasian, we'll just glow. Yeah. Particularly bad for our colors.
So I close the blinds. If you had like a white, if the sun is really, really hot, then you could have like a sheet or wax paper or something like that to just kind of soften the light a little bit. And I've got this window here and it does fine. And so anything like this. And also I was just thinking, a lot of people have DSLRs.
Yeah.
And a lot of time with DSLRs, you can plug in directly from the DSLR into your computer, and you can live stream from that. So if you think, I'm a photographer, I've got some camera gear.
Or I have a friend who's a photographer. They're not shooting weddings this weekend. Maybe you make a deal. You go, look, I've got a really good computer for post. If you bring your camera over, we'll take turns sitting in this seat. I'll do my makeup tutorial. Then you'll do your how to shoot your children with your iPhone while you're locked in. What'd you call it? House arrest?
House arrest.
How to take really good photos of your kids and your dog, since that's your subjects right now. And we'll use, I'll bring the spoon, you bring the bowl.
And so I do think for YouTube, for live, I think all of this is fine. For YouTube, you might want a little bit higher quality.
Sure.
But let me say this, don't let that stop you. A lot of people like excuses. Well, I don't have the light, or I don't have this, or I don't have, it's like that really content is king.
Yeah.
If whatever you're saying is good, then that's really what matters. And then all of this other stuff, the DSLR, the tripod, the backdrop, like all of this is kind of secondary, when really, if you want to make money right now, take what you have and just start doing it. Because as you progress, as you start doing it more and more, you'll get better, and hopefully you'll start selling some product, and then you can invest in some of that.
I had a 30-minute conversation with a friend of mine today, just a conversation, but she's just holding her phone. It was what I call the hostage situation. I mean, she had the headphone, the fancy ones though, the AirPods, which, by the way, if you have those, they sound great. As long as you get in a quiet part of your house with a lot of fabric around. Just make a blanket for it and light the damn thing. You'll be fine. They sounded great. Jittery didn't even bother me. It's just the way we watch things now. It's like a J.J. Abrams movie. It's like, okay, fine. This is shot with found footage. I didn't even tell her, like, hey, put your phone down. She was walking around the house. It was terrible footage because I was getting ready for this. So I was just thinking, like, if she were doing a tutorial on how to use universal space in vaudeville, when you just stare off and you talk not to the person you're talking to, but off here. If she were giving me a lecture about that and it was good, I could give a crap.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, no, what then? What? Oh, wow, interesting. Is that how Stanislavski would have done? I'd have been hooked in. Let's see if we can help Raphael Entertainment. So now we want to go. So this works great for a makeup tutorial with my ring light. What if I wanted to show you how to juggle a chainsaw behind your back or proper foil technique for a parry? The best bet, I would say, well, okay, in this case, since I know this gentleman, reach out to me and I'll give you a list of theaters that are closed right now. And might either A, love for you to just come in and do it, or I don't know, clean the bathroom and give them $5. They'll let you use their space. Or maybe you bring something to the party they don't have, a piece of tech. I don't know if you're a photographer or you know one. You can pal up with, call in a favor. Let's get you into a big indoor venue and then get something like, and you can record these in advance and send them to people. So if you're doing that, this can be a body pack. You've got a voice memo and you record on your phone, and then you have someone else with a camera. Just clap a few times before you start talking. Send me that footage and I'll sync it up for you and send it right back to you. It's not hard, but I have Final Cut Pro. Don't buy Final Cut Pro to do this. But I'll do that for you. So if you can find a way to get decent sound, but you can also yell at an iPhone across, you're talking to the balcony. So every time you stop and wipe your brow to explain what you just did, make sure you're using your theater voice, hit that phone 5, 6, 7 feet away, and just get in a venue indoors. I would also look at my apartment complex has a home gym, sort of, that hotel gym kind of setup. But they've got a good bit of floor space in there, too. Ain't nobody in that gym. Ever, by the way. Ever. I use it. I'm the only one I think that uses it. So if you have spaces like that, which aren't necessarily performance venues, but it's really well lit, it'd be a little stark, the lighting. It would look pretty, but I'd be able to see everything you were doing. But more importantly, you've got 9-foot ceilings, and you've got a solid, 8x6 area of just carpet, just rug. And then there's this beautiful treadmill behind you. It's not the best background, but it'll be fine. If I'm your student and I'm saying, hey, why don't you show me that technique, and then just email me a link to your video on Vimeo, and just upload it and email it to them.
So we talked about like the physical things that we need, lighting, sound, things like that, cameras. Let's talk about software for a moment, because I know for you streaming right now, you're using what's called eCam. Yeah. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to call each other on Skype. Yeah. And then once we're on the Skype call, that all goes through your eCam software, which is tied into YouTube. Right. Which then uploads our conversation on Skype directly to YouTube Live.
But you don't need that. That's because we do this and we arguably make money off of it, right? That's expensive software and confusing.
I would recommend OBS software. Yeah. It's completely free. It's open source.
How techy is it?
It's not that techy at all.
Because that'd be a concern for a lot of people, isn't they? Even if they could buy eCam, I'm using a custom streaming key, and I just lost them on that phrase. Like a what? Well, what?
I think it's simple because a lot of gamers out there in the gaming
Twitch is a good thing to use too, by the way.
And so because of that, there's tons of tutorials. If you just type in like how to use OBS software, you're going to see some gamer in his gamer cool chair, explaining how he screens.
They have the same chair.
How he puts his face at the bottom with a cool logo. Then he shows his screen. So like this OBS software is highly recommended. It's completely free, and that allows you to stream directly to YouTube, or I think it even allows you to go to Facebook.
And all this software does that. You generally have a pull down through the API for the streaming. But we also used Hangouts for a couple of our podcasts, and they did just fine with the 2 or 3 of us. So you don't even need to buy anything. Just the browser will do. Try and go live on YouTube. I think you have to have a certain number of subscribers, though. But if you do, or if you know someone who does, hit them up. I'll do this with you, whoever you are. Call me.
That next bit of software would be Zoom. And that's really popular right now. I think if you haven't heard of this by now, you might want to get out a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, your company's definitely trying to use it. Your school kids are definitely trying to use it.
Don't go outside right now, but like at least
return some phone calls, would you?
Read some Facebook or some Instagram or something. But so Zoom is very, very popular, and what this allows you to do is to do one-on-one meetings. So if someone doesn't have Skype, you're going to send them a link, and they're going to download a little application or just run the application, and that will allow you to see their screen. It'll allow you to share a screen. So if you're showing them how to design something or how to do something on your screen, it allows you to do all that. It also allows you to do webinars. And I believe you can charge for webinars. So if you wanted to say, hey, at 4 o'clock on Thursday, I am teaching a class on how to do a double lift and a top change. Magic terms. We're going to teach you how to do a double lift.
I knew double lift. I don't know what a top change is. Double lift I've heard before. Top change, I thought you were doing a burlesque show.
It could be.
Okay, that's the only Venn diagram for those two art forms is the top change. Got it.
So if you want to say, I'm going to do a class on these 2 things, here's the link to my webinar. Now you could charge maybe $15 for that. You're going to go live at 8 o'clock at night on a Thursday. Now all of those people pay. Now they get you live, and you've got a class of maybe 10 people now. At $10, that's an extra $100 for only 10 people that are now going to see you and watch you teach them the top change and the double lift. And so like there's a lot of options with Zoom, not only selling physical product, but you could also sell the webinar that you're then going to be teaching. And what's nice about this, instead of teaching one-on-one and having to do one-on-one classes, you can now teach 10 people at a time or 20
Yeah.
people at a time. Now your time's not directly related to each person. It's kind of like a show, right? If I
Yeah.
can fill up a theater, I'm making more money. And so a webinar is very similar to that. If you can fill up your webinar, you're going to be making more money. And so just some ideas to think about
I
right
just had an
now.
idea. This may or may not work for Raphael Entertainment specifically. What if you flipped it? So you're critiquing my form anyway. So what if you say, go out in the backyard, throw your iPhone on the windowsill, and then parry, parry, thrust, thrust, parry, parry, thrust. I have no idea how your art form works. I apologize. But show me what you're working on. Email me that video. Now we get on Skype. Now you're in your living room. I'm just sitting down going, no, raise your right hand a little more. Now do it. Okay, back up. Let me see you. Okay, turn to your left. That's what it is. Do that again. So now you're just sort of as if you're the theater director sitting in the audience going, again, but with more emotion, please. And they're your puppets. So now they might have, so if I were the student coming to you, I've got that gym. I've got a theater down the street I could use. I could go film myself and say, this is what, and just, I'll be talking to you, you'll be watching it later. This is what I'm working on. Here's the problem I'm having. Then you watch it. Then we meet. I pay you $35. You're watching the video of me with me. Or I'm in the gym going, did you watch the video? Okay, I'm ready. I've got my sword. Tell me what to do. And you correct me in real time. If that's useful for your art form, I could see a juggler. I would certainly love someone from Cirque du Soleil, and I'm working on some of the crosses and stuff I'm working with. They could just be sitting down eating a sandwich and go, no, your left elbow's the problem, dude. Get your left elbow there. And it literally will fix it for you. You go, whoa, that was all I was doing wrong? Yeah, show me the thing under the leg you're trying to work on. Some of this works without us being in the room, not as effectively.
So, Tom, I've got a few minutes here before I need to get off. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you might open it up here for some questions. But, I kind of think, I guess this is a twofold question. One, as an entertainer, should I be holding on to this and hoping that this is going to end and that our shows are going to be coming back? Or should I start maybe looking for a job, looking for other type of work?
I think this has exposed a big chink in the armor. Especially because I think it was the Prime Minister of Australia I saw speaking on this subject, talked about these performers, because he's not one of us, these performers that we see when they need to fill in the gap is the term they use. When they need to fill the gap, they turn to the hospitality industry. And what happened here, so I'll use my friend Christina. She's an author and a speaker. She speaks on disabilities. She has an amazing book you should buy called Splat. It's on Amazon. It's about living with hidden disabilities, and she's got a system for how to express how you're feeling using, today I got hit by a truck. Yesterday I got hit by a small car. So we can kind of understand where she's at on a scale. She sells that book. She goes to college. She talks about that book. She was a stand-up comedian, so her lectures are very funny, and they're dealing with dark topics they need to be. Her other side hustle is substitute teacher. So what the hell is she supposed to do? Well, she went out of business. She's struggling right now to rebuild that, because that's a thing. I'm a classically trained chef. I was right in the middle of consulting for a new restaurant opening. It would have opened last Friday. So right there, every line of income I've ever had, arguably I can do computer coding and video editing, but I've never had to. And maybe that's what I need to look at. Maybe I need a third leg to my stool here. I could do shows and do promotion and marketing. I could consult, kind of doing promotions and marketing for restaurants, or I could just go chop potatoes real fast and cook food. And two of those are kind of the same thing. When those two industries went away, my stool didn't stand up. Maybe I need to look into video editing or get better at writing code and have some kind of side hustle money coming in where I'm doing patchwork that I could turn to. So if it's exposed the same kind of chink where if you're like, look, I'm a juggler, and then when I don't have extra money, I go bartend, maybe add a third skill set. Something that's, I mean, the odds of this happening again are pretty rare, but it really exposed a serious chink in our planning here, a serious hole in the wall where the troops just flooded right past our defenses. Because I got really caught flat-footed because never, ever, ever in my life has every kitchen not been hiring. I'm a qualified, trained, classically educated chef with a hell of a resume. Once upon a time, I'm rusty. But I can wash a dish like a mother, I can chop carrots like a beast. And they'd always let me get my foot in the door. And I literally can't even put my foot in the door now.
Raphael just said his fill in the gaps gig was building sets for theaters.
See, yeah.
And I think for me, I have well attended, right? That's where I make some of my income, right? But I also am a magician. I do corporate events. I also have a local theater show. So like I have all of these things going on.
You did vertical integration, they call it in the corporate world. You stayed with your core competency. Yeah.
And this goes well together, right? All of these things, like I'm an entertainer, so I understand how people sell tickets and how they should, I know that flow, and I'm doing my own shows. But all of this is the same vertical.
That's literally how I got hired for the restaurants. They went, hey, I used to work with you. Now you sell tickets to shows. How do I get the newspapers to interview me about my restaurant? And I got into restaurant marketing through that weird, I fell face first into a side hustle.
And so I think, right now, I think it's a good time to start working on your shows. I think if you haven't thought about product, because, shows are going to be coming back, I'm sure. We just don't know the time scale, right?
And it could be. That's the problem right now is we're hearing a month or two, and then we're also hearing more pessimistically a year, and we're hearing a re-hit. And until they have a vaccine, and these things have to be tested, you don't nail it the first day. We're hearing that Cuba might have one. We're hearing that some other. But there's a testing phase. People have reactions. It's adverse. Also, the flu's a moving target anyway. Remember, every year when you get your flu shot, you should get your flu shot. It's responsible. I shake a lot of hands. I get a flu shot every year. I'm not killing old people ever. But even with the flu shot, this year was a little better than average. But 5 years ago, they're trying to guess at mutations. They swung and missed big time. It was like 10% efficacy. So it was only slightly better than not having a flu shot. That may be the world we live in now with 2 of these viruses coming around every year. Mm-hmm. And eventually it'll square up. But I would brace for impact. So work on your shows. Work on your ancillary products. Work on something you can do that doesn't involve gathering people in a room. So now we need to we need to acquire a new company and go outside of our core competency. What skills do you have that can translate? With sales, if you can stand on stage and sell your BS, you can sell someone else's crap too. I've been applying for sales jobs, especially software sales, which you can do like this. This is how they want you to do it. In fact, you put on a little polo shirt and you talk people through the process of signing up for various things. So I've been looking at like doing sort of tech help for a company. Like, okay, you've signed up. So say Well Attended. You've signed up this, but you're a mega corporation, right? Well Attended Incorporated. You've signed up this burlesque troupe. Then you pawn it off to me to walk the head belly dancer through all the stuff, make sure she understands it, and I'm her point guy. So I got to be nice and friendly, and and not get frustrated when she goes, no, don't click that. That makes your computer explode, honey. Let's go back and click the other thing this time, and not blow up our computer, and not lose patience with her.
So I just want to recap here about some of the things that we've talked about. I think right now, is the time to work on your show. Right now is the time to work on products and just to see what are the things you could possibly sell your audience. So products isn't just physical products, but it could be coaching. It could be teaching magic classes, teaching, how to juggle. It could be anything, maybe having an online course on how to do something, right? So now is a good time to focus on those. Also, maybe to look outside. What else have you been interested ever since you were a kid that you might also enjoy doing during this downtime? So I think those are really the 3 steps you should take. What you should not do is sit on the couch, watch Netflix, play video games, and just say, oh, my life is over.
Yeah.
Because it's really not.
Take a couple of days off. We don't do that often enough. But then, once stop playing
but get
the
right
new.
back into it. And then also, I think this is really depressing for a lot of people because this is our livelihood. This is what we enjoy. This is our art form, right? This is how we express ourselves. Yeah. And just know that you're not alone out there because everyone is going through the exact same thing. Yeah. So if you want to talk to somebody about this, if you've got problems, please reach out to myself, reach out to Tom.
And if you have answers,
happy to talk to you.
A lot of this is it's all in flux. So what we're doing here, William and I, is just synthesis. Here's things we've heard from this person, Here's the thing I did that worked. It put $1,000 in my pocket. He did. If you have other answers, this is the time to lean on each other too. Right. And my apologies for the tech just not being up to the snuff. There's just no good town hall technology that I'm aware of. So we're having to just read comments here. But I've read every single one of them. And if you guys would, there are like 20-something people watching. Hit like on the video so that YouTube shows the video to people. I don't monetize my channel at all. Not a single video pays me a single penny. And I used to monetize like 5 years ago. It was like $28 a year. I turned it off. I don't care. I'd rather you watch my videos and then come see a show. So you're not putting money in my pocket. And I have no plans to ever monetize a YouTube channel. It's not my thing.
Unless you become like PewDiePie, then
I'll open another channel then. I promise. I won't make money off of your giving me likes and sharing this video to people. You also have my permission. If you know how to download and take out clips, go for it. That's fine. I don't care. I won't sue you or issue a takedown or whatever. If there was like 10 minutes of this you thought was useful and the rest of it has nothing to do with what you do, clip that 10 minutes. Add your, I don't care. Maybe don't put me in a porno, or make it a good one. High quality porno only, please. Like stuff from the 70s, the real chic stuff. But yeah, go for it. Chop it up, remix it, have fun. We'll call it Creative Commons. And that should be listed on the YouTube video. It is Creative Commons. I don't need attribution. Don't care if they know my name. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's end on a high note. We were talking about this before, and the only thing I can come up with that I think right now, because it's so in flux, because there's no end in sight, it makes things very pessimistic. But here's the only silver lining I've come up with, but I think it's huge. We're not in this alone is a big deal. If I just had my restaurant that I worked at go under, and at the same time the theater I owned burned down, and I'm crying by myself in my bedroom, I have too much pride to reach out for help. I would have simply cried and cried and cried, and then eventually gotten my life back together through this period of misery, because I wouldn't have shared with you. I'd have just kept it to myself. It's just how I was raised. I don't know. It's how I am. If it had just been your city. I live in Chicago, man. We're as bad as New York City, man. We don't know what a Nashville is, dude. We ain't heard of you. You're flyover country. So if your entire city had been shut down, you'd have been a blip on the radar. Oh, did you hear Denver blew up the other day? Weird. Anyway, I'll have the deep dish pizza, please. The good news is, because the whole world is doing this crap, we can all be vulnerable. We can say, hey, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have this pile of stuff. Do you have a laptop I can borrow? Do you have a ring light thing Tom was talking about I could come pick up, and I'll bring it back to you in a couple of days? We're seeing a lot of chinks in the armor with our government, the way we handle each other, social safety net. But we're also seeing our own weaknesses, where if this ever happens again, you ain't catching me a second time, buddy. Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. This ain't happening. The next time this happens, I'm going to be like, oh, the theater's shut down. I guess I'll pick up more coding work. Or guess I'll edit. I guess I'll call my clients to see if they need new whatever. We're all in this, so we can feel free to share stuff. That's the silver lining I see, because it would suck if it were just your city or just your country. If it had just stayed in Wuhan, and all those poor people are like, they can't go do shows, they're in lockdown. Seriously, we wouldn't be hearing about it. Not in America. It'd have been one cycle on the news, maybe. And then our friends would try and share it as a hashtag on Twitter, and it wouldn't trend.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's.
So I guess we're in this together, right? And if you
that's the best.
Find
yeah.
something that works.
Yeah.
Please let us know. We'll be happy to blast it out. And like I said, some of the things I've shared with you, I'm going to kind of write this up in an email here later, and I'll send this to our well-attended newsletter. So if you aren't on that, you can just go to wellattended.com. Somewhere on that site, maybe on our blog, you'll find where you can sign up for that. And we're going to be sharing some of those things that we've talked about today: the Calendly, Zoom, Skype, Ecamm, OBS, all of these softwares. Just some links to just recap. So if you're not on our newsletter, be sure to sign up for that so you can get those. And sign up for, of course, Tom's newsletter, because he will send you a free cookbook.
Yeah, you get a free cookbook.
You can't beat that, right?
And then also, if you go, so freakshowtell.com, that'll give you my phone number if you want to text me, is on there. And then also my email address. And you can find me on Facebook or whatever, because I'm thinking specifically like performer to performer. If you live in Chicago, or you could download Skype and you're like, hey, I can't get this. What's a streaming key? I want to do that. I'll, for free, do what we're doing right now. I'll go, okay, click that. Don't click that. Click this. Copy that. Now hit it. Is it working now? Okay, good luck. So if you're a makeup artist who's like, I don't know how to do this, I may say just send me the file in Dropbox and I'll edit it and send it back to you. But I also might be like, hey, turn on your computer, share your screen. Here's how you do that. And I can walk you through a lot of this techie stuff. And if I don't know, I know what to type in Google to get answers. That's often the trick with tech support, is I know what the problem's called. So I can type it in Google and go, oh, here's another smarter person explaining it to me. So once you share your info. So freakshowtell.com, or if you Google Freak Show and Tell. Freak Show is one word, but it's a show and tell. It's a science show. It's written behind me or somewhere. freakshowandtell.com. And then find it we'll put it on the wellattended.com, the way you found this. We'll find a way. Yeah. You can find me. I'm not hard to find. If you can spell my name, type it in Google, I'll pop up.
And one last pitch, because this is how the format works, right? Have incredible content, have a conversation, and then pitch your products, right? Exactly. Like, take the model that we're doing right here and just apply this to yourself. So my last pitch is, right now, since we're not doing theater shows, if you've been looking for another type of box office to use. I've got time right now, so please sign up for an account.
True.
And I'll show you everything that you'd like to know. So when our shows do, roll back around, you might have some other options for software. I'll be happy.
And
to
his
talk
software
to
is way easier if you're having difficulty in the stuff you're using. It's about the same price too, so you might as well use someone you know. But also, even if you're saving 2 cents per ticket, try right now to convert your tickets into gift cards.
Yes.
And you'll see that having a person on the other end who's a performer who's going through the same bullcrap you're going through, it's a pretty strong sales pitch, honestly, for Well Attended, only because it's so small and agile that you might as well use them. My favorite feature you guys have that a few people have stolen now, but not everybody, is you can buy a ticket to the show and then a little page pops up that says like T-shirt, extra.
Upsell.
That upsell page.
Yeah.
It was huge. I paid my rent off just the upsells that one time it was a very small theater, not a lot of rent, but I was selling $5 VIP cards. People who'd never seen the show. This is what was weird. I threw it in there as a goof. And I sold, the theater was like $50 and I sold like $55 worth of VIP stuff, which means every ticket you bought right into my pocket, which was like $10, but whatever. That's a whole $10 for daddy. Give it. And what was cool is people would show up and it's a couple. They bought one. So the guy bought 2 tickets. So John Smith, 2 tickets. And sure, I'll take an envelope, whatever that is, for $5. And then he gets there and I go, oh, and you bought this. And he goes, that's what that was. Oh, cool. Could she get one too? And I sold him a second one right there at the door. So I probably ended up, making $75 out of $50 just off envelopes. But he had it in his mind. And even if he said no, I should bring some cash because I think this burlesque troupe sells photos, and if I like them, I definitely want a T-shirt or a coaster or something. I better bring a little extra money on me, just in case.
And we do, talking about upsells. Tom's been on an awesome podcast episode. I don't quote me on this, but it's episode 70 something. I don't know the exact episode, 70 something, and he talks about upsells, and we go into these things in more detail. So if you are thinking about products, he's got a great sheet that he lists every single thing that he has for sale, how much it cost him, and how much he sells it for. So just go back, look at that episode 70-something about upsells at the checkout, and you'll find all that.
That's also a good thing. Not just the Well Attended podcast. Podcasts, man. Tutorials. Now that you've got downtime, instead of doing Netflix and YouTube to just watch, now's the time to really look at, like, we did a whole 3.5 hours on print marketing. All this stuff's free. All the podcasts are free. They don't cost anything.
It's on print marketing, yeah.
And so you can walk from finding a designer, printing the stuff, back of the room sales. It's 3.5 hours of, there's always some rambling with me. I ramble. But it's pretty, there's a lot of there's a lot of meat to that candy as well. Like it's really, really interesting, I think, if you've never done it before. And now we've got the time, so you can just text me and I'll be like, oh, did you not understand that? Call me. I'll explain it.
Look it up. It's episode 70, 71, and 72. That's the series we did.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. So that's also in podcast form. So right there you've got, and not just those. So now start looking through your podcast feed, and maybe it's not a time to listen to your favorite, How I Married a Murderer podcast. Maybe it's time to, how to do this, how to do that. This would be a good time to learn some skills you don't have. Speaking of which, I have had dough that's been fermenting gluten for 24 hours that's now ready to go in the fridge in cold ferment for 36 hours because I'm a very bored chef, and often you don't get to make 4-day pizza dough, which if you've never had 4-day pizza dough, my mouth is watering thinking about it. The flavor it develops is insane. The yeast makes alcohol, flavors the thing. It's incredible. So you got to go outside. I got to go cook and gain all the weight I lost back.
I'm going to go climb some mountains away from everyone.
Yeah, you're going to social distance by hundreds of miles.
That's right.
All right, have a good day.
Tom, thanks so much for doing this with us.
It's my pleasure. I hope it helped. There's not a lot of answers. It's mostly just kind of a big therapy session for everyone. Yeah. Look, man, whatever problems you got, I got them too. I promise. Solutions are coming. Keep your chin up. One thing I thought of the other day, if it all burns down metaphorically, and I got to start over, I'm not starting at 1. I got 3 shows that I've written. 2 of them have been tested thousands of times, hundreds of performances. I got 2 solid 90-minute theater shows, marketing, brochures, press, stuff I didn't have, website. I've got knowledge on how to do this. I'm not starting back at 0 15 years ago. I'm starting with all the advantages I have now. I can stand on my own shoulders if I have to write a new show. So if I have to put it in boxes for 2 years and get back on my feet, that opening night will be well marketed. I'll have a press release. I won't be rusty. I'll be practicing in between. So we're not as screwed as we think we are. We all started from somewhere. We're just in a bit of a recession as entertainers.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. See you, Tom.
Take care, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.